Alright, on the buck stops here tonight, we're looking at whether the space, the political space for Gujarat's Muslims is shrinking. You saw in that report varied voices with several prominent Muslim industrialists saying that the time has come to leave the past behind and engage with the Modi government. But you also saw many other people in Muslim ghettos of Ahmedabad saying the growth story is genuine, but it's real for other people, not for the Muslim community. Is progress, economic progress for Gujarat's Muslims possible without representation, political representation? That's what we're looking at tonight. We're coming to you tonight, of course, from the very beautiful, very popular Agashiye restaurant in Ahmedabad, which of course in Gujarati means on the terrace. Let me take my question to Nirmala Sitharaman. Nirmala, there has been this very, some would say, smart photo of when you see Irfan Pathan. Irfan Pathan is from Vadodara. His father used to give the call for the namaz prayers in the local mosques there. And you have him now standing on stage sharing that electoral platform. And many people would say, great photo op, it's making a statement of its own. But then you meet, as I did, the poor Muslim residents of ghettos like Johapura, who are not disputing that there has been economic progress in the state, but they're saying we don't have a voice in the political system. Now, when you couple that with the BJP's failure to give any Muslim a ticket, surely there is something a little hollow in that visual image, because where is the political voice for Gujarat's Muslims, and why isn't the BJP, if you really claim to be beyond communalism, giving Muslims that voice?
Because this is a very vital question in this 2012 assembly elections debate.
Yes.
So permit me, I'll rapidly go down some points.
Okay.
First is, we meaning any political party for that matter, will look for winnability, and it is a matter of course that in spite of all the exercises the party has done, we don't choose on the basis of caste or religion, but winnable candidate. Unfortunately, yes. And even the Congress has not, I'm not sure it's 7, it's 4, I thought. If it is 7, let me be corrected.
Yeah.
But the fact is, yes, there is a lot of political aspiration in various communities, and I'm sure it is there among the Muslims too. But the fact is that the Chief Minister's development norms and the way in which he's gone through has been, I will deal with all communities equally, and if development doesn't reach them, you question me.
Yeah,
and on that, the Prime Minister's special package for minorities,
yes,
the Prime Minister's office itself has said the best implemented state is Gujarat. And on Sachar committee, we've always had a lot of debate about how even the Sachar committee's measurements have been proved that it is better served here, the accessibility to university, higher education and so on. But as regards the political aspirations that you're talking about, I will definitely give you the name of the individual who has told me this. This is a lady who was moved out of Congress, who was Congress's spokesperson, belongs to the minority community, who's moved over to the BJP recently, and I've taken her words to tell you.
Asifa Khan. Yeah.
She has very clearly, in fact, I sat with her and discussed, and one of the relevant points which I think is crucial to your debate is, she takes the example of sarpanches who are elected from Muslim-dominated areas. The sarpanch himself is a Muslim. He has narrated to her in great detail. I'll put it in one line. He said, last several years I've been sarpanch. Even before that, my family has been sarpanches here. The approach of this government has been, what neighboring village gets or neighboring panchayat gets, I get as much as they do. They know from this panchayat there is no support to the BJP, but the government has not discriminated. Everything that is given to other community-dominated pockets is given to us too.
But can I ask you, as a politician, not BJP Congress, do you accept that a sense of participation in any system is very difficult?
Absolutely.
If your community is underrepresented in a political system?
Yes, but I would like to highlight here that 264 people in the local body elections were given ticket, all belonging to minority community, and from among them 107 have won in Nagarpalikas, in Zilla Panchayats and so on, and this statistics is available for anyone to see. So if we really do find candidates who are winnable for a corporation, ward or a assembly or even for a parliament, why wouldn't we want to do?
Okay.
Because the model of development or model of governing Gujarat under Narendra Modi has been treat all of them equal, treat everybody equal, give them all the benefits which have to reach any deserving citizen. I will not differentiate them between on the basis of birth or on the basis of caste.
Let me take this to Amiben Yagnik of the Congress. Amiben, while the BJP may stress that winnability was the factor to not give any Muslim a ticket and not prejudice, and that's the argument you're hearing from Nirmala Sitharaman, most Muslim voters that I've been meeting in Ahmedabad or in Gujarat are not so engaged with the Congress either. In fact, what's really disheartening is that there is a general sense of feeling that our vote can't change the consequence of the election. So there is a general sense of disengagement with the entire political process, and they perhaps feel as orphaned, as abandoned by the Congress party as well. It is a sense of political irrelevance. So, I mean, the Congress can say things about the BJP, but what have you done to make your politics more inclusive for Gujarat's Muslims?
Barkha, I understand how the minority people feel, because pictures don't lie. You have seen these large pockets on the outskirts of Ahmedabad which have been pushed, and you can see these communities have not got any basic amenities. If you say drinking water or drainage, or even if you see that you may find the electricity meter, but you may not find any proper basic amenities to them. The roads are not paved. It's practically next to those environmental hazardous dumps, and even the rehabilitation packages have not been fulfilled by the ruling party post the riots and all that. So pictures don't lie. So I understand the minority feeling that they are neglected, they are not, they're not having any kind of hope, but we have taken to them all these programs, and we have gone to these people and said that if we come to power, we are going to see that you get all this, and we have given a fair share of representation to all communities and to all people in the all constituencies, and we have fielded a lot of candidates. But if you see that the ruling party has shown by conduct that they are neglecting these communities, because there is a municipal corporation, there are municipalities, and still if these people do not get the necessary drainage and water, and if small industries get all these things, then it speaks a lot about the ruling party's method of working. And so you cannot say that the Congress is ignoring. We are taking to the people. We have learnt all this by working at the grassroots level, and we are definitely promising them that we will solve these problems as soon as we come to power. And we have fielded a lot of candidates.
Okay,
so let us speak that the Congress has practically neglected them.
In fact, I would like to intervene here to say, take again an example of a corporator who was sitting and talking with one of the activists belonging to the minority community, and I have had instance of somebody telling me this, which is verifiable, that he was seen talking around with the BJP corporator, and when somebody asked him, he said, well, this gentleman takes care of my requirements, in the sense of if there is a problem, he attends to me, he is accessible to me, and therefore I can't see a difference, and I'm quite happy to deal with the BJP corporator. I have no hesitation. When he was reminded, saying, well, in your own ward you have a congressman, why have you not contacted them? He said, I've done this and they are not accessible and none of my jobs get done. So today's citizens are also not looking at BJP and Congress from the point of view we shouldn't even access. They're looking at performing corporators, they're looking at performing MLAs, and therefore if a performing MLA is bringing the difference to them, they won't mind supporting A, B, C or any party. Therefore this whole argument of today the mindset of the Muslims is the same as what you were talking about in 2002 is not correct, and in fact I would put the counter argument. If the community is willing to move on, if there are any stresses on them, if there is a sense of fear being brought in, Vastanvi is a classic case, who actually asked him to shut up after when he spoke in favor of the Chief Minister. So the fear psychosis is not about...
Let me take this to Shahid Siddiqui, because you've raised a very interesting question. You've said if the community itself is willing to move on. Now, I find, and let me take this to Shahid Siddiqui, I found, Shahid Siddiqui, that while interviewing people here, while talking to people here, they may have accepted that what's happened in 2002, it's not that they've forgotten it, by no means, but they may have accepted that the slow wheels of law are turning and are grinding. What they're really talking about is being on the margins of politics. Now, Shahid Siddiqui, you lost your job with the Samajwadi Party for interviewing Narendra Modi. Now, that is the sort of thing that Nirmala Sitharaman is talking to when she's saying that that too is a dishonest discourse, because you should be free to interview whoever you want to and have a space to take your own position. Shahid, go ahead.
Barkha, that's an old story. Let me come to one point. Nirmala has been saying time and again, and the BJP spokespersons have been saying that look, winnability is extremely important. And in the past, in the local elections, we gave tickets to more than 200 or whatever Muslims, and more than 100 won. So if they could win, that means others could also win. So winnability is not the question. And then it also shows that Mr. Narendra Modi doesn't have confidence in himself. He doesn't believe that he can get 1 or 2 Muslims elected, and if he puts up a Muslim candidate, he will lose his support base among the Hindus. That shows that he doesn't have the command over the Gujarati voters. He has not been able to take them along with him after 10 years of all the development he's talking about. So this very fact that they have not been able to put up a Muslim candidate shows that they have failed in taking Gujarat and the 6 crore people they talk of Gujaratis with him. So that is one point. And the second point is that
let me take that to Nirmala.
They talk of Muslims moving on, but Muslims are ready to move on. Muslims of Gujarat are moving on, but BJP is not ready to move on. Mr. Modi is not ready to move on. He made some half-hearted effort and then he withdrew. 1 step forward and 2 steps backward. That has been the position of Mr. Modi and BJP, and that will harm them.
Take this to Nirmala.
Because they are not emerging as a national party. They are emerging as a sectarian party.
Okay, that's a very strong thing to say. And Nirmala, let me add my own question. One, a legitimate argument raised by Shahid that if Muslim candidates had winnability in local elections, it obviously means that they're politically engaged, they want to take part, they're invested in the system. Why deny them that chance in these elections? And the second point, that actually the fear that Narendra Modi feels in Gujarat is that his edifice is built on a certain model of Hindu support, and that could get antagonized if there were Muslim candidates fighting on the BJP ticket, and that is the real problem.
Not at all, and that is where I brought this argument of, if we were able to bring in 264, which Congress cannot match, why will we have a hesitation? If at that level we identified people who could have winnability as the argument, and that argument could be serviced by them, they had the ticket. It is, no, wait a minute, Mr. Siddiqui, winnability is which is determined by the party at the grassroots level, at the constituency level. If we find somebody, we'll certainly give it ad, but not because it is a person belonging to a particular community.
Why did you need the symbolism? If there is no Hindu-Muslim prism through which you see candidates, why did you need... 1 minute, Shahid.
That's your failure. That's the failure of BJP. Yes.
That is because your argument comes from the point of view of religion only. My argument comes from the point of view of
purely political argument, purely democratic.
Then what is your argument? 9% you can't give
candidate.
What is the argument?
Sure of yourself. That means you have failed to work on the developmental issue. You are going into the religious issue. If it was just development,
okay, Shahid, you made your point. Shahid, you made your point. Shahid, you made your point.
Yes. Barkha, there are many points we have to make, because BJP is making points after points which are false points.
No, you made a very strong point and I'm adding to it. And here's my question. My question is this. You are telling Shahid Siddiqui he sees everything through a religious prism. We don't. We see people as people. If you really see people as people, why did you need the symbolism of Irfan Pathan sharing that stage? Wasn't that embracing a minority mascot for the BJP?
What a shame. I'm glad you're asking this question.
That's the real politics, many would say.
I'm glad you're asking this question. Is Irfan Pathan known only for being a Muslim? Has his successes in cricket and his appeal to the youth today doesn't deserve a merit?
Of course it does.
Therefore,
of course it does. But when he shares a political stage, it's a different context.
Therefore,
Irfan Pathan belongs to the country, but he's on a stage with a political party.
He belongs to the country. The youth of this country belong to this country. Political parties have a necessary business to appeal to the youth with icons who they value. And here, let us not undermine Irfan Pathan for just having been born on the basis of his religion. You talk about it. It is for his critical achievement in cricket, for his achievement in sports, for his achievement for having been endearing himself to the youth, that we need him.
So
and
it's just a coincidence that he's also an Indian Muslim.
Absolutely. And just a coincidence, and more importantly, I think you will probably be doing a disservice to him for all his achievements in cricket if you constantly only harp on his religion or his...
Okay, I'll take that back to Shahid, but Shahid, please wait, because I first want to get Zafar Sareshwala into this discussion. Now, Zafar Sareshwala, you have actually moved from being a fierce critic of Narendra Modi to somebody who now says it's time for your community to engage with him. It's not that you did not suffer in the riots. Your office in your home was attacked by the mob in 2002. You lost everything. But you said in that report that I filed that I do not want to wear my pain as an ornament, and that prosperity is there and Muslims must partake of it. Your own community has put a lot of pressure on you. They sometimes say you're a sellout. You've abandoned your ideology. What would you say today on what we are discussing, the shrinking political space? We're talking about the political space, Zafar Sareshwala. What would you say?
See, Barkha, political space, if you put in the context of how many MLAs or MPs are, I don't believe that. Because we have seen in Gujarat where we had 15 MLAs and in 1990 there were only 2 MLAs. And since last 3 successive assemblies, we have only 4 MLAs. So I don't consider the representation of Muslims in terms of numbers, because some very draconian laws in Gujarat were passed when there were 15 Muslim MLAs. So I don't think that this is a political representation at all. I consider the members of assembly or Muslims there, just because they are Muslims and you want to fill in the blank, then God forbid. We don't want such Muslims to come in the parliament or in the assembly. My thinking is that we, the Muslim in the civil society, they should engage and have a process of dialogue with the government of the day. That could be in Gujarat, or that could be anywhere in the country, or it could be anywhere. And you need to have a dialogue process in place. You can't be outside it. You can't live in isolation. You have to move on. And moving on does not mean that you forget things. We every day, day in and day out, Barkha, we move on with so many tragedies in our life. That doesn't mean that I forget what has happened to me. And now, moving on, when I say moving on means so many things are now being taken care of. Number one was the criminal justice system. The perpetrators of the crime never ever, particularly in Gujarat, they were brought to book. At least now, with lot of other people's efforts, Supreme Court getting involved, SIT formation of SIT, at least 200 people have been convicted. 150 of them have been convicted with life sentences. So I think more or less that is being taken care of. But then Muslims are, 7.5 million Muslims in Gujarat. They have Naroda Partiya is not the only issue. We have education, we have health, Muslims have to do business, and this is a very sad state of affairs when we are branded that a few Gujarati businessmen, they have taken advantage of Modi. For God's sake, Barkha, none of the Muslim is in the capacity of the Ambanis or the Tatas. We are small business people. We don't have anything to do with the government. And it is basically attacking the integrity and the honesty of the Muslim businessmen. They have been in business much before Mr. Modi was there, and it doesn't make any difference to us. Our whole idea is engagement.
Point. Sir, I'm interrupting you there because I want to take this to Mr. Nalapat. You've made the point that as a Gujarati Muslim, you're not interested in the tokenism of having X number of people in the assembly, that the issues are of a responsive government, of a responsive system, and not number crunching. Mr. Nalapat, my question is slightly different to you. My question is this, that this is about Gujarat, but soon it will become about India. And when it's about India, in the age of coalition politics, no politician in today's India who does not practice an inclusive politics, who does not carry all religions, all castes with him or her, can succeed. Now in Gujarat, what is very interesting is that Narendra Modi has actually made caste irrelevant. All the people, he's consolidated votes around him in the Hindu community, not on a caste basis. So that is true, but he has not managed to do that when it comes to religion. Will this not hurt him? Will this not hurt him in the long run?
Well, Barkha, I've got 2 points to make. One is that it is an unfortunate fact that there have been even prime ministers in India who have basically come up because of caste appeal, and whose political parties have come up because of the strength of various castes. You're seeing chief ministers in multiple states who have got maybe at most 2 or 3 castes or communities as their base, and they ignore the rest of society. So if we are going to argue that in Indian politics you can succeed only by not being sectional, I'm afraid the empirical evidence is against that. I just want to say that the Congress party has succeeded beyond its wildest dreams. From 2002, it sought to demonize the BJP in Gujarat and demonize Narendra Modi and scare the Muslims and tell them, don't trust this man, don't trust this party, don't trust this government, run away, far away from it. And unfortunately what has happened is that scare tactic has worked, and today there is a definite distance, it would seem, between the Muslim community and the government, and this is extremely unfortunate in a secular democracy. We don't have an India of the minorities and an India of the majority. In fact, when the Prime Minister came here and started talking only of minorities, I was disappointed. He is not the Prime Minister of just minority India, or he is the Prime Minister of the whole of India. And I think the sooner we get this minority-majority, this artificial schism behind us, the better.
Okay, let me take this to you, Professor Bandukwala. Now, you started, I know, right after the riots by saying, yeah, Amiben, give me a second. I will come to you. Just getting Professor Bandukwala. You initially thought perhaps Narendra Modi would apologize. Then you said, all right, forget the apology. Your interest is in building bridges between the two communities. But today, when you find that the political representation, frankly, is abysmal, the Congress may have given some tickets, which is a better score than zero. But this state has not sent a Muslim member of parliament to the Lok Sabha for more than 2 decades. Now that would make many people feel that they do not have a space or a voice in this election. To which you have a Zafar Sareshwala who says, I'm not interested in this tokenism. Please don't make it about tokenism. What would you say, sir?
See, I would not want to go into Zafar Sareshwala's point. The only thing I feel sorry that Zafar has a lot of talent. He could have used it for the good of the community.
But he says he is doing that. He says it's demonizing him because he has a point of view.
Without having met me that I have not used the talent
Please,
for the
now let me
community,
speak.
Mr. Bandukwala, don't make such false allegations.
Please let me speak.
Don't make allegations, Mr. Bandukwala. No.
Please let me speak now.
Okay,
don't make allegations. Do you know what we have done for the community? Don't get into tribalism.
Zafar Sareshwala. Mr. Sareshwala, I will give you a chance to rebut him. I'm sure you feel strongly about it. Let him have his word. He hasn't spoken yet. Go ahead.
See, the whole problem is, Barkha, that the communalism in Gujarat is very deep, whether we accept it or not. See, my own daughter is married into a Hindu home.
Yeah.
But the level of communalism is extremely deep. I think perhaps I would not exaggerate by saying that Gujarat is the most communalized state in I'm not blaming one individual for it. I think sometimes we mix up with Gandhi and Sardar Patel. I think it's a mistake because Gandhi and Sardar Patel never really had much of an impact on Gujarati psychology as the impact that was generated by Dayanand Saraswati and K.M. Munshi.
But can I ask you,
Yes.
the fact that Muslim candidates have such poor representation in the assembly, which is what we are talking about, does that worry you?
Yes, very much. For example, in Baroda, there is a population of 3 lakh Muslims about.
Yes.
In a total population of about 25 lakhs. There is not a single Muslim corporator, not one Muslim corporator. Now, how do you expect? I am worried in which sense? I am not interested in individuals.
Yeah.
But how do you take care of problems of water, garbage, drainage? No one is there.
Before I take a break, Nirmala, I want a quick response from you on this. You know, when I went into Juhapura, which has become literally a city within a city on the outskirts of the main city of Ahmedabad, it's become like a ghetto. And one of the real tragedies of Ahmedabad has been that Hindus and Muslims mixed neighborhoods almost no longer exist. And there, I didn't find most people talking to me about anything except the water line. There's no official water line, there's no official sewer line, and who do we take to? This is where political participation becomes important. It's a psychological need to have your own community's representation. You would feel it too, wouldn't you?
Absolutely, but then I think confining this debate to only ghettoization which is happening here is not going to give us the true picture. I come from Hyderabad. and I know how old city Hyderabad is ghettoized and increasingly getting ghettoized. That's completely Congress ruled state.
Yeah.
Why is it happening there? And in fact, no action is taken even when there are riots happening there for fear that there could be reprisal. Did that help? So ultimately, that is one argument. The other, when you have representatives in the corporations from communities, let us say even if they belong to Congress, the example that I gave you of a sarpanch who's spoken saying this administration has not differentiated,
fair enough,
everything
fair
is
enough,
reaching us. My argument is, what stops development from reaching? In fact, many of them have come out openly saying, in fact, we get money for the pipelines.
But I have to take a break. We will take a break. When we come back, you know, the fault lines of this debate seem to be basically those who say that the numbers in the assembly is not necessarily proportional to the development that reaches a community, and others who say that there can't be a sense of assimilation in a society unless you have political representation. Coming back in just a couple of minutes with final comments from our panel tonight. Welcome back. You're watching our special episode of the Buck Stops here, coming to you live tonight from Agashiye in Ahmedabad. We're looking at what many fear is a shrinking political space for Gujarati Muslims, a state that hasn't actually sent a Muslim member of parliament to the Lok Sabha in over 2 decades. Let me take this back to Amiben Yagnik. Amiben Yagnik, the fact of the matter is that the Congress campaign has failed to inspire any confidence, at least among the Muslims we've met. More and more people that we met just said that they feel disconnected with the overall campaign. So while the Congress may criticize the BJP for giving no tickets to Muslim candidates, what is your record for making your campaign exclusive? Your campaign this time seems so cautious. It's averting talking about 2002. It isn't raising issues of communalism as you did in 2007. So what have you done?
Before going to your answer, I would just like to make quick 3 points. One of the panelists said that the Congress, and attributed something to the Congress, that we have been successful in kind of creating some kind of a scare, but that is not true. The ghastly narrations of the victims of the riots in the courts and keeping those matters coming up in the newspapers has made those people so for a quest of justice, you know, that kind of, you know, they feel a little isolated. The second point is that BJP had 10 years in order to rehabilitate it and give some kind of confidence to all these people, but they have deprived them of their basic rights. Third is that you have talked about the BJP Sadbhavna. See, they have made a lot of attempt to show that there is some kind of a softness, but if you see their conduct and their actions, by seeing that there no ticket has been given, no candidate has been filled in, you can see that the actions are very different from what they speak. So again, that goes back to the double speak. Coming to the Congress party, we have made a very, very conscious effort to see what their problems are. We have gone to the grassroots level. Again and again I am saying that only from the work with these people we have come to know what they need, and we have definitely promised them that when we come to power, we are going to stress only on education and healthcare, which is completely not in their domain, and we are going to see that they reach. And we have taken a very fair set of the fact of the matter is,
Amiben Yagnik,
so you may not say.
Amiben Yagnik, I have to interrupt you because we have very little time. Shahid Siddiqui, your last thoughts on the Congress campaign. You've slammed the BJP. What are your thoughts on the Congress campaign?
I agree with Monu Nalapat. Congress has always been using the fear of BJP and now of Narendra Modi to browbeat Muslims, to push them into a corner, to take them as vote banks, to use them as political, you know, steps to move on, and they have in fact benefited, and they want people like Narendra Modi to remain as communal or as Hindu as they can be, because Congress uses them to, not only in Gujarat but all over the country, they demonize Narendra Modi and then tell the Muslims that, look, you vote for us, we will do nothing for you. You vote for us, otherwise Modi will come. So the fear of Modi is Muslims in that area, and that is extremely dangerous. This dangerous game Congress has been playing all along.
Okay. Madam Nalapat, you said that it is unfortunate 1 minute, Amiben. You said it's not true and you can keep disagreeing. We're winding up on the show. To Mr. Nalapat. Mr. Nalapat, you said that you don't want a Prime Minister of the minorities, you want a Prime Minister of India. But India is a diverse country. It's a country where all communities have to be carried along. Do you think this will be a challenge for Mr. Modi if he switches to the national stage?
Well, he has handled challenges pretty effectively the last 10 years, and possibly for next 10 years he'll do that. But I just want to make one more point, Barkha, which is that this obsession with Parliament, with the assemblies, with corporation seats, etc. The reality of situation is, very frankly, that there are communities that have a large number of MPs, a large number of MLAs, and these communities are utterly destitute. You talked about Mr. Tata. Mr. Tata comes from a community which has hardly any representation in Parliament ever in the last 60 years. I mean, you had Pilu Modi, I don't know how many people, Minu Masani, how many people you had who were Parsi, but they've done very well. Today, in technology today, you have empowered by various means. You can go on the internet, you can go to the media, you can go to Barkha Dutt on television. Okay. There are so many ways in which you can empower yourself. You can be a businessman like one of the participants here. You can be a very prominent and wonderful social activist like my idealist friend Dr. Bandukwala. So it is absurd to say that just because of one single factor, which is an assembly election and nomination, the entire community is being, the fact is the country is more diverse, society is more diverse, and there are various means of empowerment.
You're saying it's too narrow a framework. Got that. You're saying it's too narrow a framework to measure participation by numbers of tickets given or numbers in the assembly, and that is not necessarily translated into the betterment of a particular community. But let me take this to you, Zafar Sureshwala, as we're winding up. Are you disappointed about the representation of your community, or do you believe it doesn't matter? Are you disappointed? Do you think that Narendra Modi lost an opportunity to reach out more? And one of the things we haven't spoken about, which other critics of his, and I will ask Nirmala to talk about it at all, is that in an earlier campaign, General Pervez Musharraf used to be mocked, maybe with good reason, and be called Mia Musharraf. Now there is this rhetoric going on between the Congress's Ahmed Patel and Narendra Modi, where Mr. Modi often says Mia Ahmed Patel. Now, is this a language that you're comfortable with?
See, during the time of elections, all sorts of politicians use all languages. So I think we have moved much beyond this. And coming back to your question, I and the Muslims, they'll judge Mr. Narendra Modi by what he does and not by what he says. So we have a lot of issues outside the remit of what we've been talking. We have education, we need schools, which Muslims have done wonderfully in last 10 years. Barkha, we had only 2 Muslim schools in 2002-2003. Now in Ahmedabad city alone, we have 14 schools. My family, my sister-in-law, and 45 other young Muslim girls, they run a school for girls which has 600 students. So these are the things we need to do. I think much ahead and much outside the purview of how many numbers are there in the Parliament or in the Assembly at all. Okay, Professor Bandukwala, where do you stand on this issue? Is it more important how many numbers a community has in the Assembly or state, because that is the route to have a say in political power, or do you feel that the focus now needs to shift?
See, in a situation like in Gujarat, it just doesn't make sense for Muslims to go for electoral politics. It just doesn't.
Because the numbers are stacked up against.
Yes, they're completely stacked up.
So that's very cynical, sir. That's very cynical.
Even if I were to stand, I think I would definitely lose. There's no doubt of it.
Try it, you never know.
There's no doubt. But my point is over here, Barkha, that Muslims have to go now beyond. In which sense that we have to now see in terms of the very large population, the women who are attending schools, colleges, these very poor children who are coming out.
Yeah.
See, it is our job now of Muslim leadership to focus away from politics
and look at the community
and just look at the problem in a larger sense.
I have 30 seconds left. My question is just this.
I would invite Professor Bandukwala to come to Ahmedabad and use his expertise of teaching physics. He is a renowned physicist. So why doesn't he come and gets into it?
Okay, Okay, I'm sure Professor Bandukwala has also been doing a lot for the community. So Zafar Sareshwala and Professor Bandukwala, you will have to continue this debate later. But one question to you. You say, and I come back to where I started, it's not about Hindu-Muslim, it's about citizens, it's about people. The fact of the matter is that Mr. Modi has attempted some sort of reinvention. Otherwise, why the Sadbhavna fast? Why inviting religious clerics? Why, I will again say, why Irfan Pathan? Because Mr. Modi also knows that he needs to have a more inclusive image if he wants to play on the national stage. So, did you miss an opportunity? Did your party miss an opportunity? Even at the level of tokenism, even at the level of symbolism, you're a politician, you know symbolism matters, in not giving any Muslims tickets.
Rapidly, I'll give you 3 points.
Yeah.
Mr. Modi has proved that without differentiation, he is able to show development can reach to everybody, no appeasement, no categories. But he is able to reach out to people and show that Gujarat can live in peace and harmony. 10 years, no curfew, and you saw the development reaching everybody. You still will have many people say, oh, it has not reached A, B, C.
Yeah.
Yes, the whole attempt is to reach out to everybody. I think, therefore, the message from Gujarat for 2012 assembly election for the rest of the country would be, if this is possible in one area, it is possible to reach out to people with their dignity kept intact. You are Muslim and therefore I am giving extra benefits to you. You are so and so and therefore doing it's not necessary at all. But he's proved it here to not differentiate between people and reach out to them. One. And second, on this very interesting question that you raised, the language that is being used. Shriman is being used by every Hindu. We don't have any objection on it. But when Miya being used by anybody else is not
Miya used in a taunting way by him. It's
that's exactly where I'm coming to. When he uses
by
and when there are specific.
Okay, go ahead.
No, so when even a term which is used in
once upon a time,
when Narendra Modi uses there is a section. There is a section.
Okay, you're not speaking together. We have
no. There is a section which believes that anything that he says is TRP, and we will definitely make an issue of it. I think he said it in all due reverence and respect, and I think that's where it ends. If Rahul Gandhi can be addressed as Shriman Rahul Baba, nobody has a problem with it.
We will have, unfortunately, to end this conversation at a very interesting point, but we will have to leave it there. Here is the deeper question that Gujarat throws up, and we haven't been able to reach a consensus on it. To feel a sense of participation, do you need greater representation in the political process at least, if not in the assembly or parliament? Two views on that, but this is a question that will be debated not just for Gujarat, but actually for our minorities and the diversity of our country across India. Thank you very much. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow night at the same time. Thanks very much.